Good morning, you guys. It's time to rise and thrive. I'm Trisha Turner. It's 9 a.m. Central Time. You know, this is something that I do every week. The purpose, of course, is to bring you something positive to help you enhance your life, improve your life and business. And Rise and Thrive is a podcast we've been running now into our fourth year. Been named 3 different times, but this is our most recent one. And this podcast is centered around the 4 principles that are most important in my life, that being faith, family, finances, and fitness. And I'm super grateful because, as you guys know, we moved our company, the Trisha Turner Group, over to Realty of America. Honestly, right when I heard about it, I couldn't get there fast enough, but because I'm a broker, we had to migrate everyone. And so in January of this year, literally, is when all our listings got transferred over and I got transferred over. And I'm super excited because part of my transitioning into Realty of America is meeting some absolutely incredible people like Victor Niño, who I have on with me this morning. Good morning, Victor.
Good morning, Trisha. Thank you so much for having me.
I am super excited for you to share your story. You guys, Victor is full of energy and enthusiasm, much which I think are critical in our industry. But Victor, for those that don't know you, can you share, number one, where you are in the world, what you do for a living, and how long you've been doing that?
All right. So I've been an agent for 21 years. I live in Austin, Texas, and I'm one of the founding partners for Realty of America, which is pretty incredible. And I have had all my career here in the Austin area. I've been in Austin actually about almost 30 years. So next year is going to be my 30th year here in Austin. So this is basically home away from home. So it's been a great journey. And prior to this, I was with another company for 12 years. And then prior to that, with a smaller mom and pop place where I started my career. So it's been an amazing journey.
Okay, so we're going to stop it right there and unpack that. So 21 years in real estate, you guys. What you just heard was he's now he's with one of the founding partners of Realty of America. But prior to that, he was only with 2 other companies in 21 years, which is insane. The average real estate agent changes, some of them every year, but certainly every 3 years. So number one, how in the world did you maintain such a career like that and only, 3 different companies?
Frankly, discipline. And when I say discipline, I mean, I do not get distracted by the shiny object quickly. So I'm very careful what I do when it comes to who am I going to be affiliated with. And on this, once I had a conversation with Eddie, and the vision of Realty of America, I was like, I cannot pass this up. So I just had to make a change. And I'll tell you, Eddie even told me, he's like, Victor, one of the reasons why I wanted to talk to you was because I thought you were unrecruitable. And the reality is that I was with KW for 12 years. I had been in Gary Keller's top 100 agents mastermind that we would meet several times a year. I would have access to those masterminds also during our convention. So it was really nice to be part of that elite group. Yet at the end of the day, I said, you know what? Nobody's coming to me with an opportunity that could literally change the course of my life. And not only that, but, set up my family for a great future. So that's why I decided to jump ship. But, prior to that, I had started with a smaller company. And it's really interesting how your environment really affects how you show up. So when I was at that office, I remember, I would do probably not a whole lot because I was doing this part-time. So I was doing about 15 deals a year, 20 deals a year. But I was doing it part-time because I had a full-time job. And I remember when we left to Keller Williams, the mindset was like, hey, I need to double down and do this full-time. And it's just interesting how our mindset works and how we are limited just because of the way we think and the way we feel. And sometimes it's subconscious, right? So when I left to KW, I still remember when I first got there, I went to the first awards banquet and I was like, oh my God, look at how many people are playing at such a high level compared to the place I was before. So that allowed me to push myself, and I'm a competitive person. So I remember taking a picture with the person that was our leader at that time at our office. And I'm like, hey, after the event, I said, hey, can you please take a picture with me? I want to be on stage with you, and I'm going to put it on my vision board. And I'm going
I love that.
And fast forward, I'll tell you, we were number one 3 years in a row at Keller Williams here in Austin, which is really where KW was born. So that was a really cool journey to go from that moment with the visualization and even thinking that I could get there to creating a team that actually performed. So that was a really cool. And then, of course, now, being around so many individuals that, I go talk to them and I'm like, my God, yeah, it's cool that my team does over $100 million. But then when I'm around other individuals here at Realty of America, I'm like, wow, these guys are doing so much more. So it allows me to see that there's more room for growth.
Well, you know what's crazy, Victor, is that the failure rate in real estate, it's been like 89% forever. I actually think it's more than that. I think it's around 92%. And the average agent, well, 71% of them sold 0 homes in 2024. You sat there when you talked about you were part-time, I was only doing like 15 or 20 deals a year. You were doing like quadruple what a full-time agent does. So for you to shift that and go into Keller Williams, what made you make that move? Were you seeking more?
Yes, I was just seeking to be around a bigger pool of individuals. The office was just a local office. And, frankly, I'll tell you, my broker, amazing individual. It was really heartbroken set of conversations that we had to have in order for me to leave. Yet at the end of the day, one thing that I realized is like, yeah, you know what? I have an amazing relationship with this man, and yet what's going to be better for me in my future? So I had to make that decision. And there's nothing better than actually having the courage and the respect to tell that individual in person and just be thankful for what they've done. Every single time I see the man, I always thank him for everything he did and poured into me. So it doesn't mean that, you have to end the relationship in a bad way, but, do it in a classy, respectful way. And they'll understand, because at the end of the day, if they're a broker, guess what? They were an agent once. So they had that conversation with whoever poured into them. So they would understand. And I'll tell you this, an individual that's really focused on making sure that you win, they're going to be happy for you. And that's just the way it is. That's the way life is. So that's why I decided to go to KW. It was just a bigger opportunity. There were agents in different markets. And then, of course, with Realty of America, same thing. We have people in California, Illinois. I mean, you name it, a lot of different states, which is great because we get to meet leaders in different areas that can pour into each other so that we can continue to grow and take our business to new heights.
Yeah, which is super cool.
Yes.
But when you moved over from that independent brokerage and you went to KW, were you a solo agent at that time?
Yes, I was a solo agent.
So then being at KW for 12 years, you think about it, like the mega teams, huge teams really didn't birth until about 6 to 7 years ago. You started seeing them. Prior to that, you would see like husband and wife teams, small teams. What made you decide, hey, I want to take it to the next level and build a team?
So I'll tell you this, it was pretty interesting. And it's just an illustration of where my mindset was and how I thought so small. I remember, hearing Mr. Gary Keller, and my God, that man's a genius.
Yes.
And I remember I was in a meeting and he said, your job is to fire yourself from every single task you have as an agent. And I thought in my mind, I was like, is this guy nuts? Like, what does he mean? If I fire myself, then I'm going to be without a job. Again, the mindset of an employee.
Yep.
And, fast forward till today, I'm sure you have the same setup where it's like, I don't put up signs. I don't put up lockbox. I don't get copies for keys. I don't coordinate, for the stager to show up. Like so many jobs that I fired myself from. And it's so interesting that, again, if I had not been in that environment, I had not seen that. And then the conversations that I'm having today with these other individuals like, Mark Dimas and many other agents that have literally done over thousands of transactions, even some in 1 year, is like, how do I replace myself in a way where I'm still in control and I run it as a business, but we can level up the service that we give the clients that come to us? Because at the end of the day, what good is it if we're delegating and things are not being done the right way.
Yeah.
We owe it to our clientele to always focus on what's best for them and setting up the system so that we can go ahead and show up as a professional so that these people know, wow, this individual came into our world. He took us from A to Z and made this a transaction that was very pleasant, considering the fact that it's one of the most stressful things that someone will ever do in their
Oh,
life.
yeah. So when you look at like your team and when you were first creating it, because people, like they'll listen to this and they're like, oh, I can go create a team, and teams are so profitable. And at the end of the day, a lot of teams are not profitable and they're very hard to run and they're very hard to scale. Gary Keller was one of the first ones out that like pioneered that with his Millionaire Real Estate Agent book, which of course is like the Bible of real estate and the building the levels, and I remember reading that book because I was at KW twice. And I remember reading that book in its entirety multiple times. It's probably right behind me on my desk or on my bookshelf, and it's got highlights all over it and writing all over it. But it makes you think differently. Like, okay, there's steps to this and how to do it successfully, number one, but how to do it by making a profit and having your agents successful. Because at the end of the day, you hear from teams all the time or other agents like, oh, the team leader takes all my money. And at the end of the day, I'm left with nothing. And that's just not true. The amount that we give back to the teams is like ginormous. And when you were building your team, how big did you get your team to?
So right now we have a team of 20. Last year we were a team of 11, and we helped over 300 families last year, which was pretty cool. This year based on our information that we gathered from everybody's goals, we're going to hit over 500 transactions. And that's one thing that I had to learn, because I remember that when I was putting my team, I would always think, okay, how much do I think the team should do? But in reality, I had to speak with each individual person and say, okay, what are your goals? Because we can't lead someone that doesn't want to be led to a certain level, right? So then we have to adjust based on that. And then, of course, if my goal for the team is not met, then I'm like, okay, who else do I need to bring in so that we can hit that? Or for me to go ahead and pick up that slack in the difference between what each team member wants to do if I tally it up compared to what I feel the team should go ahead and do. But I'll tell you, earlier you touched on something that, hey, a lot of agents think, oh my God, I'm giving so much up to my team lead. The reality is this: how much money does someone pay to go to a university? I literally have numerous friends, some with kids, some themselves, that spend $50,000, $80,000 to go to a university. Well, guess what? Here you get to earn as you learn. And you can decide to either learn on your own and take a super long time, or shorten that gap by going with a team that has a great leader with great experience that's going to pour into you. So the sad thing is this, and that's why I think so many people fail. They see the glass half empty.
Oh, yeah.
They see the negative. And I see it all the time. And I'll tell you this, I have so many people that want to join my team, and I have a conversation with them just, about life and about things. I'm like, my God, this person's so negative. I have that on my team. No. I do not allow negativity in my teams. If there's negativity, then guess what? We are not meant to work together. Mm-hmm. I wish you the best and I'll cheer you on, but this just doesn't work for us, right?
Yeah.
But the reality is this: regardless of the percentage you're getting, I'll guarantee you that it's better than 100% of one, or like you said earlier, 0 deals, which is really, what was the percentage again?
71%.
71% didn't even sell one.
Not in
just think about that.
Nope.
And then therefore there's other people that'll go sell 10, 12, 15 with a team, and they get a portion, but guess what? They're learning. And that's something that nobody can ever take away from you, because once you learn it, it's yours.
Well, and if you study economics and you study the data, it shows that teams are the way of the future. The consumers expect it. The consumers want it. We can outmarket the individual. We can outwork them. We outperform. When you're talking of numbers, though, like number one, I'm obsessed with numbers, and you're in the Austin market. And so in the last, 2 years, the real estate market's been relentlessly difficult and challenging, and interest rates have been higher than we've seen in over a decade. Austin has been hit with home values where, they had the COVID market when things got crazy because of everything got crazy everywhere. But you guys then went through a little bit of a downturn. And you've managed to grow not only your team, but your production. For a goal of 500 units this year is massive. What do you attribute all of that success to in a down market?
The mindset that regardless if the market is up or down, people are going to buy. I'll tell you this. I've been an agent since '04. I was in the downturn in 8, 9, 10. The reality is this: homes were on special.
Yes.
So this is what I tell my team. I'm like, all right, if you consistently buy Coca-Cola as an example, and you go to the store and Coca-Cola, let's just pretend it's $5 usually, but this time you go and it's at $2. What do people typically do? Let me buy more because it's at a discount.
Yeah,
It's on clearance, right?
Yeah.
The interesting thing about homes is this. I remember there were homes that were $60,000, $70,000, Trisha, in Austin. And you know what people would say? Oh my God, prices are so bad. The market's so low. The news is telling me it's a bad time to buy. It was on special. The people that were smart enough to see through all that negativity, guess what? They ended up buying at a clearance price.
Yes.
So I'm going to tell you this. I learned a long time ago, and this is what I tell my team. Real estate is always good, period. Anybody ask me how's real estate? It's amazing. Well, wait a minute. They're saying that the prices are low. What's amazing? If you want to invest, do you want to pay high or do you want to pay low? Well, then it's amazing.
Yes.
Oh, Victor, you know what? This is January of 2022. The market is nuts. I can't buy a house. I made an offer with 100,000 over and I didn't even get a call back.
Yeah.
And then I'll be like, you know what? It's an amazing time for you to sell. You could sell at the highest possible time. So it doesn't matter if it's high, low, or middle. It's always a great market. And I'm going to tell you this, the best time for someone to sell or buy is when they're ready. Because I remember having a conversation with numerous people that are real good friends of mine. And I'd be like, hey, Trisha, guess what? You can't let this time pass up. If you're thinking about selling in the next couple of years, sell right now because you can get 100, 200, 300,000 over asking price. No contingency. If your home has foundation problems, anything, people will buy it. They don't care.
Yep.
And you know what I would hear? Victor, but my kids love the school. We love the neighborhood. They weren't ready to sell. So one thing I am 1,000% crystal clear is this. It doesn't matter if the market is good for sellers or it's amazing for buyers. People are going to do it when they're ready. Because the thing is this, I've helped people sell their homes when they had to come out of pocket to sell their house because they were upside down. And guess why they were selling? Divorce, a job, a death. There's a variety, an inheritance. There's a variety of things that happen that make people want to take steps to go through the process of selling or go through the process of buying. And I tell my team, instead of focusing on the negativity, go and find people that are looking to transact today. Who needs help? Because I guarantee you, there's someone within 5-10 miles from us that's having a conversation with someone saying, you know what, I'm going to buy. Or you know what, I finally want to go live in a cabin in Colorado and I want to sell my house. So many things. So we need to go look for people.
So with your team to reach the goal of 500 units this year, you've got to be laser focused on certain things. And of course, most real estate agents are our audience on this show. What are you having your team do to stay consistent with that kind of transaction count?
First and foremost, getting eyes on social media. Number 2, connecting with past clients and spheres. Number 3, making sure that when you are around people to come across as a professional. See, people have this delusional thinking that, hey, I'm around my friends. I can let loose. I can be X, Y, and Z. Well, guess what? Every single time, because you're in this profession, you are being judged.
Yes.
And I'm going to tell you right now, you think you're in a safe space where you can say certain things or conduct yourself in a certain way. Those things you do will either pull someone to say, yes, I will work with Trisha in the future, or you know what, I won't. You know, how do you show up to parties? Are you the one getting really wasted and drunk?
Yep.
Obnoxious? Or are you the person that is respectful? Again, you live your life how you want. Just understand that what you do will affect your bottom line. And your bottom line will allow you to either live your life at a certain level or way below your capacity.
Yeah. And with your team, because when people listen to, 500 transactions, number one, I haven't hit 500. I love that though. I will. My team will hit it one of these days, but I love that. But it takes drive, it takes focus, it takes a schedule, it takes a routine, it takes
Yeah.
professionalism, all the things that you embody in the Austin market. Because I don't know your market well. Are you guys seeing an uptick in activity? How is the Austin market?
The market's still pretty pretty steady. I
Okay.
will tell you, we're lucky in the sense that we have a lot of new construction. So
Yeah.
my God, everywhere we see 4.99,
Yes.
4.25, buying down the rate, you name it. There's opportunities. And see, people sometimes will just look at the news and they hear, oh, super high rates. Well, I tell people this, when people tell me, Victor, I want to buy, but rates are too high. I always say, what do you mean rates are too high? Compared to what? And
Right.
we'll usually say my cousin bought in 2012 and da 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 da. And then I always ask, I'm like, how long have you been thinking about buying? Oh, about 5 years. Well, the area that you're interested in, homes were here. Now they're here. Where do you think they'll be in 5 years?
Right.
Yes. And the thing is this, if you look at the history of rates, we're still below average. So
We
do
are.
you want to buy when rates are below average, or do you want to buy when rates are above average? Because I'm going to tell you one thing. I've had numerous conversations with people, and even if they end up getting a house that's a little bit uncomfortable when it comes to the payment amount, 5, 6, 10 years from now, they're so happy. I'll give you an example. I just had a conversation with someone that bought their house in 2009. They said, Victor, I live in South Austin and my mortgage payment is $1,500 a month for a house.
Nice.
Right now, you can't even rent an
No,
apartment with 3 bedrooms and a
no,
2.5 bath for that much.
no. You know what's crazy, Victor, is that people sit there and like, oh, I'm going to wait for rates to come back down. Because like you said, my neighbor's paying 3%. It's like, we're probably never, ever going to see that rate again, ever. Like what are you waiting for homes to be worth $100,000, $200,000 more? I'm with you, which is just crazy. I
Yep.
think when you study the market, I think this year we're going to have a lot of uncertainty, of course, because no one really knows what to expect. But it's been like that since freaking COVID. What I do know, though, is when you study the market and you look at real estate brokerages and growth and profitability and coming together and working together, the cloud-based brokerage model is the way of the future. And it's said over and over. So I'm now going to pick your brain because you guys, you may have missed it in the beginning where Victor, he's one of the founding partners of Realty of America. He was at Keller Williams for 12 years. Most Keller Williams, because I've been in the cloud-based world now for over 6 years. So I have found that most Keller Williams agents are the ones most reluctant to envision the cloud-based model. Victor, why did you embrace this and not only embrace it, become a founding partner and be like, yes, let's do this? What shifted?
So the thing is this, I always had great pride in saying, hey, I work for the biggest company on the planet when it comes to real estate. It's the largest by agent count, largest by transactions. At least it was several years ago. I don't know if that's changed. So there was that sense of belonging to something incredible. And I think Gary is an amazing, amazing leader. So there's a lot of loyalty there.
Yeah.
But one thing I had to decide was, you know what? If things get tough, who am I going to call at Keller Williams so that they can go ahead and pay for my daughter's college? Who am I going to call so that they can go ahead and handle things that could come up that can be resolved with money?
Yep.
And the reality is this, we live in a money-driven world. And on this, what we need to realize is, hey, we need to make sure that we're taking steps so that we can position ourselves so that we can show up for our family and make sure that not only do they have stability, but for them to have an opportunity to live an incredible life.
Yeah.
And I had to make that decision of, hey, do I want to be cool in saying, hey, I'm with the big company? Do I want to focus on, hey, I get to hang out with an incredible person that had an amazing track record and amazing history? Or do I want to create my own history? And I'll tell you this, if right now, Trisha, we're talking to an individual on our right that's thinking, you know what? I don't want to buy a house. I just want to keep renting. I can live closer to town, have an amazing apartment, have a gym in my apartment, have a smoothie shop downstairs, the gym, you name it, a pool, a barbecue spot that's pretty awesome, a co-working space, and all these bells and whistles. or I can go buy a house, maybe in the suburbs, maybe something that doesn't dazzle me. But who would be better off 15 years from now? The homeowner
Sure.
or the tenant?
Homeowner all day long.
And I'll tell you this, agents and brokers have a tenant landlord relationship. I was a tenant at Keller Williams. And even though I did have profit share, the amount that I was making is just night and day. I mean, it's just night and day, literally, from what I get to earn right now. So I said, you know what, instead of being a tenant in this space of real estate, I'm going to go ahead and get a slice of the pie by being an owner. And some people might hear this and it's like, okay, well, he's one of the founding partners. Well, guess what? I have agents in my team that right now are earning per month what they would earn for one commission of a very nice, sizable home.
Yep.
And you know why they did that? Because they went to tell other people about this opportunity to put on their homeowner or their owner hat versus the tenant hat at their brokerage. And that's really it. You know, again, it's the belonging to an amazing organization. But guess what? I said, instead of me being dazzled by these individuals that are so highly held in regard at KW, I'm going to go ahead and pave the way in something incredible and write my own story. And this is something that everybody can do. And I'll tell you, I met this individual about 2015 that left Keller Williams. He was a team leader. He owned several market centers. He went to a revenue share company. That man makes millions of dollars. And guess what? He was there 6 years after the other company opened. Anybody listening to this, we haven't even been in business in 1 year, and we've already turned a profit. Not only that, we've already onboarded over 1,500 agents nationwide. As we open new states, we're going to go ahead and surpass 2,000. And just to put things into perspective, the other big players in our space that are revenue share companies, both of the big ones took 6 years to get to 1,000 agents. We surpassed that on day one. Yep. So the thing is this, if I'm listening to this for the first time, I'm like, you know what? I'm going to pay attention. I'm going to listen. I'm going to sit and see if this makes sense for me. I'm not saying just blindly jump in, but I'm going to tell you right now, if you are in a relationship with your broker where you don't earn anything other than when you sell, you need to reevaluate that and put yourself in a better position.
You know what's crazy though, Victor, is you guys, what he alluded to there, but I know because I know Victor, when he talks to you about a team leader that left years ago and is now making, and when he says they're making a lot of money every month, in the millions every single month. And how long ago was that, Victor? 6 years ago?
No, that was in 2015. So I had a conversation, and this is something that's really important. And this is not just related to revenue share, but this is related to life and in general. You know, I had a conversation with this individual. I got excited, but then I let somebody steal my dream. I had this vision and I said, you know what, this would be incredible. I went to go talk to someone I love, respect, and they said, you know what, Victor, that's a scam. Oh, Victor, you know what, just go sell some homes. Now, they didn't do it to purposefully steal my dream. They did it out of love, saying, hey, you know what, we don't know enough about this to know if it works. Fast forward till today, we know it works.
Yes.
That's out of the question. And I'm very grateful for those companies that came before us because they paved the way. And that's something that I believe we should always show gratitude when somebody has paved the way for us. So I'm eternally grateful for all those leaders that had to fight those battles year after year after year. And now we get to come into this space and not have to worry about people saying it's a pyramid, which is ridiculous. But that's a whole separate story. But it just shows how close-minded people are. And going back to allowing people to steal your dreams, just know this. If someone comes to you with an opportunity, know that you're the one with that blessing. And it's up to you to decide if you're going to open the door and walk through. Because opportunity is a sexy goddess that waits for no one. And I'll tell you, many of us get opportunities. Very few actually walk through the door and take advantage, take action, and make the best out of something.
When you look at that and when you talk about opportunity, you know, most people, a confused mind, number one, just says no. And so many people are still confused about the rev share model and the cloud-based brokerage. And of course, the easy fix is, well, I'll just go sell a lot of homes, because you were making a good living, you were making a lot of money, but at the end of the day, you were only as good as the next home that you sold. If you stopped selling homes and stopped running your team, your income stops. That's real estate. Whoever, Glenn Sanford, of course, came up with this revenue share model 15 years ago now, and it was brilliant. And in the 15 years that this has been running, companies have come and tweaked it, they've made it better. And it's honestly, when you look at, I talk to some people all the time, actually, agents that are traditional models, whether it be Coldwell Banker, Gary Green, Century 21, discount brokers, all of them. And at the end of the day, I'm mind blown. I'm like, why in the world are you at a company that some of them are paying 60-40 splits to, some of them have no caps, and they get nothing? Like, you're not an owner in this company, you don't have stock, you have no way of making any other income other than your commission income. I'm mind blown by it. You had this opportunity years ago, and you allowed someone else to talk you into just staying comfortable. You were comfortable. Now Eddie comes along.
Yes.
Walk us through that, because I, if I'm not mistaken, like, you and Eddie were friends, but you didn't know him real well, did you?
No, I didn't know him very well. So I'll backtrack a little bit. We were at a conference. We were all speakers at the conference. We were up in the front, sharing our story of what we've done to get to where we were at that point. And I added him on social media. We became friends on social media. And years down the line, I'm helping a family, and the family ends up buying and selling. And then they say, hey, my dad wants to sell a house in Chicago. So who do I know in Chicago? Eddie. He's the only guy I know. I gave him a call. He helped him. What happened is, after the closing, he calls me, and I remember it was a Thursday, and he's all like, hey, Victor, I just want to call you and tell you, thank you for referring Mr. Nunez. We helped him. He was, we were able to help him with the sale of his home, and he's on his way to Texas. But the reason why I'm calling you, aside from thanking you, is to find out if you got the check for the referral. Thank you so much. And my first question to him, I was like, hey, Eddie, was he happy? And then Eddie chuckles and says, wait. I'm calling to tell you that I closed the deal, that I sent you a check, and you don't want to know how much you're getting or whether or not you got it. And then I was like, well, that's not as important. I want to know if you did a great job. Was he happy? And we talked for about an hour. Eddie says, Victor, would you be open to coming to speak to my team here in Chicago? So he was a broker. He had back then like 300 agents or so. And I said, sure, I'll go. Now, keep in mind, Trisha, the mindset. My mind, I said, you know what? I'll go. I was thinking I was going to pay for my flight. I was thinking I was going to pay for my hotel. I was thinking I was going to pay for that. I was like, you know what? I'll go. He's a cool guy. I can learn from him. He can learn from me. I'll pour into his people. It's a win-win. And hey, you know what? I just got a referral. That'll pay for the trip.
Yeah.
Most individuals don't think like that. But check this out. He's all like, talk to my assistant. My assistant's going to go ahead and coordinate a date when you can speak. And I'm like, perfect. When we are about to hang up, Liz says, Victor, can you please give me your ID? We're going to buy your flight. And I was like, really? You guys? Yes. Eddie said to make sure and buy your flight. So don't fight me on it. He's going to get your flight. I said, okay. I said, okay, you win. That was easy to accept, right?
Yeah.
So then I said, all right, cool. So I gave her all my information. She sent me my flight information, and I knew the date. That was it. I'm the type of person that I don't pay attention to those details until I need them.
Yeah, same.
So then a week before, I call and I'm like, Liz, by the way, where's your office? I want to get a hotel close by. She says, Victor, we've already paid for your hotel. In fact, let me send you the information so you have it. And then I look at the hotel online and I'm like, oh my God, these guys are going all out for me. I'm like, I hope they don't think I'm Tony Robbins or something, because they're going all out. So then the day of my flight, I look at my flight information, Trisha. I was being flown first class. And I said, you know what? Never have I gotten that treatment at my current brokerage. Never has anybody paid for that, just to say, hey, come pour into my people.
Wow.
And I said, my God, this man is different. When I walked into that office, you could tell the way people interact with each other, help each other out, the way we talk about what he's done for people, finding out that he does the backpack drive and he does all these things. So when he came to speak with me, guess what? I was thinking, man, this guy does a turkey drive, gives and feeds literally thousands of individuals every year, backpack drive, helping families that are in need so that they don't have to spend all that money for haircuts, backpacks, school supplies for their kids when they're going back to school. I said, this person is incredible. And I said, you know what? I'm going to listen. And I listened, and he asked me a couple things, Trisha, that really was like, I need to do it. Number one, he says, Victor, if I came to you and I said, hey, by the way, the name of this company is Dimas Garcia Realty, I'd be like, no, thank you. And he said, well, just know that Keller Williams are 2 last names. And of course, today it means something in the real estate world because of all the hard work and effort that they put forth for 4 decades.
Yeah.
And that's why it means something. They did a lot of work.
Yep.
But at first, it was like me coming to you and saying, hey, Turner Niño Realty. And it's like, you know what? Can we scale that nationwide? Maybe, but it's a lot harder. And when he said Realty of America, I was like, oh my God, the American dream is what? Help people get ownership.
Yeah.
And it's like, that's beautiful. I said, I love it. And then he said, the other thing, was Gary a broker before he opened Keller Williams? And I said, no, he was a manager at another brokerage, very well respected, amazing realtor, amazing leader. And people really looked up to him. And that's when he started his company, KW. And he says, so me with 10 years of experience plus as a broker, do you think I have a little bit more experience at inception? And I said, yes, today, but at inception, but not today, because this man is a giant in the industry.
For sure.
But he's like, oh, well, that's fair. But at inception. And then when he tells me what Mark Dimas has done with 3,200 deals, I'm like, I know Joe Williams, the guy that puts the Williams in Keller Williams, was a solid agent, but I know he never sold 3,200 deals in 1 year.
Most don't.
Not, we would have heard about it numerous times because those numbers are just astronomical.
Yes.
I said, you know what? And then he asked me this. He said, do you think we have a shot? And I was like, hands down, yes. And then he told me another thing. He says, to be fair, Keller Williams took 13 years to get to 1,000 agents, but back then it was always belly to belly. We couldn't be on this conference call. We had to be in person.
Yeah.
And guess what? After that, we would sell it to CBS or something to put on for people to see. We live in a day and age we're so interconnected. Conferences, Zoom calls, social media, you name it. And I said, you know what? I'd be dumb to let this opportunity go by. I have this man, and I'm thinking in my mind, and I've never asked him how much he's worth, but I was like, you know what? If Mark did those kind of numbers and Eddie owns a brokerage, I was like, these guys have to be worth over $25 million.
Yeah.
My few little million I have is nothing. And what do people say? Tell me who you hang out with and I'll tell you who you are. And I was like, all I have to do is hang out with these men and be led by amazing leaders and plug into other people and share what I've learned with other individuals. I was like, I'm in. And I'll tell you, on day one, we launched with over 1,000 people. Trisha, that's never been done in the real estate world, ever.
Yeah. Yes. And now, Victor, like you're all over the place. Well, you're our Texas anchor partner, but you guys, and again, I am a broker. I've been in the cloud-based world for years. I've been doing real estate for 20 years, but Victor is different, y'all. He is caring. He's compassionate. He's engaged. He's loyal. He's plugged in, like he's committed. I made a post on Facebook this morning about commitment. So many people talk about it, but very few lead by example, and you do. And I think it's the coolest thing because now Texas has over 500 agents, which in and of itself is like insane. And you're literally, you guys, when we get done on this podcast, say he's jumping in his car and he's driving through Texas to go meet other Texas leaders. Why are you so committed? What has transformed your vision from where you were at KW, building a massive team, to now a founding partner in Realty of America? Where's that vision?
So the vision is to give other people an opportunity to have an amazing life as well. I'm going to tell you one thing, Trisha. I always tell my team the following. I'm like, you know what? You can always make more money, but you can never buy a good name. So whenever we're helping someone buy or sell, we always do what's best for them. If we have to lose money, so be it.
Yep.
It doesn't matter. And you know what? Sometimes if we get into the mindset of, hey, this is a business and it needs to be profitable. Yes, I agree. But there's some situations where you have to take a loss in order to do the right thing.
Yep.
And with that being said, same translates for other agents. Showing up, keeping your commitments, making sure that you're pouring into other individuals. Because I'll tell you, at a certain point of income, at least for me, I'm like, you know what? nothing else is really going to change very much. I mean, I get to drive a couple cars that I never dreamt of owning. I live in a house that I never dreamt of having, like stuff that I would see on TV. I'm going to tell you something. I remember when my wife and I were closing on this home, Trisha, we were driving up and we got a little teary-eyed because my wife's like, my God, I never thought I would live in a place like this because my mom and I used to clean homes like this. When she was growing up.
Wow.
She would help her mom clean homes. And the thing is this, I told her so that I wouldn't, I wouldn't shed a tear because I was like, oh my God, I got to be manly here. And I said, well, at least you got to go into those homes. The only time I ever saw those homes was on TV. Like Home Alone or something like that, where they had like a beautiful big house, right? And the thing is this, through hard work, guess what? We get to live an incredible life. And the reason why I pour into these agents is this. I've already been blessed that now it's my turn to bless other people and to just, add that little piece of the puzzle that could transform their business, because I've had many people that have poured into me. Now, we want to be very cautious with this. We all get opportunities, but guess what? Sometimes individuals are being poured into and then they start thinking they're taking too much of my split. Oh, the grass is greener somewhere else. Oh, someone gets in their ear and tells them, oh my God, I can't believe you're only getting that split. And guess what? It destroys their ability to grow. So have a growth mentality and be aligned with people that truly care about helping. Because I'll tell you, I've met so many people in this company now, and I just love being around good individuals. Yesterday, we were filming a Welcome to Realty of America video with this guy. He has 2 Ferraris, and we had like several Ferraris on that. And I was like, this is going to be a fun video.
Yeah.
You know what? But you know what was so cool? Before we started filming, Trisha, they said, guys, let's gather around and let's say a prayer.
Oh, I love that.
I'm like, wow. And you know what? It reminds me to say, hey, how grateful am I being? How often am I asking for guidance to make sure that I'm doing the right thing?
Yeah. And
to me, I was like floored because I'm like, I've never been around this. And not to be in a place where it's like, oh, well, we can't do that. Someone might get offended. You know what? It's not about offending anybody. Hey, let's do something that's going to be good for everyone. What good is it to say, hey, let's have some good vibes. Let's make sure we're doing things with good intention. Let's make sure we attract people that are going to be good for our company, because that's another thing. We don't want just anybody. We want good individuals want to live an amazing life. And I'll tell you this, the way someone knows they're living an incredible life is this, Trisha. If you're on vacation and you've had an amazing time and it's time for you to pack so you can go home, if you start thinking, oh man, it's over. Oh, this is horrible. I get to go back to work. You know, you're not living a great life.
Yeah.
But if you're packing and you're like, my God, this was awesome. Can't wait to get back to an amazing home. Can't wait to be living an incredible life. That's when you know you're doing things the right way.
When you look at it now, Victor, and again, y'all, Realty of America just launched September 15th of 2024. So like Victor said, there's not even 6 months yet, and we've seen this massive growth. The crazy thing is, when I heard of Realty of America, so I've been at EXP, I've been at Real, so I know the cloud-based world, and I've had my own company, and I was like, I'll never go back independent because I don't believe in that model. Yeah. When I heard that Mark was the president of this company, I know Mark, so I'm like, what in the world? I got to go talk to Mark. Like, what is this? So I go talk to Mark. I talk for like 3.5 hours. Love everything that he says. But I'm like, I don't know who this Eddie Garcia guy is. I got to know who this guy is. I have to understand the vision and where did he come from? And is this sustainable? And is this something I can align myself with? And I got on the phone with him for like 45 minutes because he's in Chicago. 45 minutes. Within probably 15 minutes of the conversation, he's so sincere, he's so genuine, and he cares. He's asking questions. He wants to know who I am and what is my vision. And by the time we got off the call, he said, I'm looking for people that are committed to growing this company and building the greatest real estate company in America. That's my vision. And I want to create millionaires. And I want to create, at first it was 100, now it's 1,000. I want to create 1,000 millionaires when I take this company public, and people that want to give back and do backpacks with me and do the turkey giveaway. And I said, I'm in, like, I'm committed. I will do that. I will commit to doing whatever it takes because I believe in the vision. And I had been seeking like a company to align myself with where I could be part of something, building something beautiful. And he said, Trisha, you're not going to come into a company that's already built. We're under construction, but we are going to build the most beautiful real estate company in America. It's only March, Victor. It's like, we're just now coming up on that 6-month mark. That is crazy. The amount of growth and how things have transformed so fast and so with such, it's a movement. Now looking back at your 12-year career at KW, where you were comfortable and you were living a great life, you said yes to this model, something you didn't know. Do you have any regrets?
Oh, the only regret is not starting sooner.
Yep.
But you know what? This is the perfect time for us to do what we decided to do. And just to put some perspective here. During the pandemic, the news was everything bad. Everybody's dying. And I
Yep.
remember telling my wife, I said, you know what? Turn off that TV. I don't want you to tell me anything that you see online, on social media, or anything about the pandemic. I'm done. Do not want to hear anything. Let's go shopping. And she's like, wait. She loves shopping. And she says, where all the stores are closed? Are we going to do like online shopping or what? And I said, where we're shopping, we don't need a store. So we ended up buying 1 acre, and then we found a builder. Nobody was building. The guy was like, hey, I'll give you a deal of a lifetime. $95 a square foot with appliances included. We ended up building duplexes. We built 11 of them.
Wow.
Now check this out. We spent about $430,000 to build them with everything that we had to spend. I still remember we were almost done and I was like, good, we're done. And then like, oh, by the way, $120,000 in fencing and landscaping. And I was like, oh my God. So long story short, we spent about $430,000. Now check this out. My monthly income from that property right now, it's about $6,200. After I pay my mortgage and everything, it's in my pocket, right? For my wife and I. Well, with revenue share, I've already doubled that per month and then some.
Isn't
and I'm
that
like,
crazy?
You're telling me with this setup, I can actually just go and invite someone to do something that's going to be a benefit to them. And then the byproduct is that I get to win as well. So it's a win-win all the way around. And I get to earn more than the $6,200 I'm making after spending $420,000 for $230,000 on top of, are they doing the work? What's going on? Let's get a tenant. Let's do the make ready. Let's do, credit pull. Let's do the contract, all this stuff.
Yes.
And I'm like, my God, this is way easier. Now, this doesn't mean don't invest in real estate. Continue to invest in real estate,
sure.
But it's just an illustration of how big this is.
Wouldn't you say that you're having more fun too, Victor?
Oh my God, yeah. You know what? It is true. I'll tell you this. The other day or last month, I went on a trip with my wife to Cancun. We flew first class and we stayed in an amazing resort, the kind of resort where you have butlers taking care of you.
Nice.
Stuff. And I said, thank you, Realty of America, because my rev share paid for that. And if I had been at the other company, guess what? It wouldn't have happened.
No.
So am I having more fun? Of course. And it's like so beautiful to be able to build a business that allows you to live life in an amazing way. And I'll tell you, pouring into our agents does that. One of my agents, Trisha, last year he made over $500,000 in GCI. He took 11 vacations. This year he says he wants to take 15 vacations.
Love that.
To make $1 million. He's actually on track to hit maybe like 750 to 800. But
Nice.
That excites me too. And imagine being the type of individual that when people around you are winning, it actually makes you happier versus being in an environment where someone's winning as well and you feel like they're taking from you. Yeah. Have an abundant mindset. And that just brings joy to everyone. Yeah. And it's so cool to see that man went from being a teacher and making $70,000 a year to now making about 40 to 50 a month. Can you imagine that?
Yet yield 10x his income, which is crazy.
Yeah. And he's happy. He's also, sharing the vision with Realty of America and building his organization as well, which is awesome.
It's crazy when we go through like in real estate, there's the downturns all the time. And again, we have no idea what the next 12 months are going to look like for us. They could be great. They could be rocky. Who knows? But to be part of a company that is built on passion and integrity and commitment and loyalty and giving back is something rare, especially when you're going through times when the market has been tough. A lot of people retract instead of giving. And when you talk to Eddie and Mark and everyone really in this company that's at a founder's level and a leadership role, it's all about giving back, all of it.
Oh yeah. Not only that, but to add on what you just mentioned is agents that are producing, because I know you're still in the trenches.
Yep.
I know I am.
Yeah.
Sunday, I had 4 listing appointments on a Sunday. Okay. So just know this. A lot of times people say, hey, I'm going to get into this business so that I can go ahead and have control of my schedule, which you can. This doesn't mean that now after 21 years, I don't take weekends off. I do, but that's 21 years. The interesting thing is somebody starts showing up and says, hey, I want to work till 3. And it's like, buddy, it's your first week.
You're not doing that or you're not going to make it.
No, at first you're going to work every day.
Yes.
But guess what? You start being a master of the conversations that you need to have with individuals. And then later you earn the right to say, hey, I'm going to take half the day off, or I'm going to be able to take the evening off so I can go have dinner with my spouse. But at first, it just takes a lot of time and energy. And see, people don't see all the work we do behind the scenes.
Oh, for sure.
I'm sure there's times where you're working till 1, 2 in the morning, getting paperwork done, preparing for this call or preparing for other things that you need to do and the events that you have. And see, most people don't see that.
They don't.
So they have to pay the price in order to be able to say, hey, I'm going to go ahead and now take control of my schedule. But it takes time and determination.
It does. And I think, Victor, I was in a house yesterday on a listing appointment, and I was talking to the mom who we were meeting with, and she was talking about her kids. One's in college going to med school, and the other one's about to graduate high school. And I asked her what her daughter was going to be doing, like what's her plans when she goes to school. And she said she's not really sure yet. She's thinking about a business degree. And I said, I don't know about that. I said, because honestly, with everything that's going on in the world and AI and everything outside of medical school, I'm not really sure that college is the best alternative for people. Like real estate, we go to real estate school and we can make more income than most people and live an amazing life, but it's a career, it's a commitment, and it's professionalism. And I think, like you said, so many people see us living a great life or driving a nice car, but behind the scenes, like I told that lady yesterday, you have no idea how many hours we're working behind the scenes and the things that we're doing to get to where we can live like that. It's a hard career, period. Yes. But Victor, now, like I think when I got into real estate, so you and I have been in it about the same amount of time. Like before, it was so much harder. When you think back, it's like just even selling a house, there wasn't like social media. Everything was different. You couldn't sell 500 homes a year. Nobody was. Yeah. Now, because of the way that everything has transformed in technology, it's doable. But not only is it doable, like we're providing a platform where they can build wealth for their families, generational wealth. You can learn how to invest. You can learn how to have passive income. You can get your kids involved in it and learn. Bring agents onto the company. Let's help grow the company together, and we'll all be rewarded financially.
Oh, yeah.
That is like the most beautiful thing in the world, because being in this industry as long as, and I've been a single mom most of that, that's a hard struggle sometimes, when you're the only income provider for your family and you go in a down market. But with Realty of America and the rev share model and cloud-based brokerages, there's security in that. You have other streams of income, and I think people have got to start embracing that.
Multiple streams, which is awesome.
Another thing, Victor, just kind of put this final thought in your head. When you look at the number of active licensees in the nation, and it would say it's 1.6 million, of that, only 5% of them are in a cloud-based model in the rev share model. 95% of them are in a traditional or a discount model. There are so many people out there that we can change their lives. We can change if they just become more open-minded.
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, that's just the thing. But the reality is this, one thing I learned a long time ago is always do what most don't. Yeah. And that's always served me very well. And that's just the thing, that even though the majority of people might not ever see the light, every individual has the opportunity to make that decision for themselves.
Oh, yeah.
And I'll tell you, there's different kinds of agents out there, and there's agents that are constantly looking to see how they can improve their business, how to become a better listing agent, how to become a better buyer's agent, how to have better systems, or guess what? Say, hey, which setup would be the best for me and my future?
Yeah.
So on this, I would say it is critical to be searching for an opportunity that could change your life. So if you know anybody that works, and hell, I'll say this, even if it's not with us, if it's a revenue share company, I can guarantee you it's probably going to be better than the one you have if you don't have revenue share.
Yes.
But do your due diligence and say, who's going to be the best company that I can go ahead and align with? Do your homework, do your due diligence, because you deserve more.
And Victor, as we come up on the closing on our hour, for those, because again, this podcast goes all over the place, so agents are our main audience. Remind everyone of how many states right now we're open with Realty of America and what's in the coming soon, so people can kind of look out for us.
So what I recall is 13 states, and we're about to open Georgia. We're about to open Florida. So we still have a lot of letter of intents or what we call LOIs. And once we open those states, it's going to be awesome because we'll finally get to the 2,000 mark. And after that, it's just going to take off. We've seen it with other companies that once they hit 2,000, it just started taking off. So the people that are on the fence right now, you have the opportunity to jump in. And remember, when you are with us and you cap, instead of getting a baseball cap, instead of being invited to lunch, guess what? You can get RSUs, which later when we go public can convert into stock. So I don't know about you, but being in that scenario is a little bit better than saying, hey, here's a sandwich for lunch. Congratulations on capping.
You know what? I'll throw a curveball in there when you talk about RSUs and stock. This is something for you listeners to pay attention to. I was at EXP for about 5.5 years. When I got into the company, of course, it was the first cloud-based model. And so stock was at like $3 a share when I got in. And I'm a producer, so I'm earning stock always in the company because the more you sell, the more you earn, right? There was a point when I had $949,000 in stock, and this was before they did the stock split. And my dad was like, you need to pull, you need to pull, you need to pull. And I didn't listen to my dad, and I didn't pull any of my stock. And my stock went from $949,000 overnight to $88,000. And I was like, oh my gosh, it was one of those moments where you just want to go jump off a bridge. Like I just lost that overnight. Yeah. And the beauty in that, like God always rewards those. He gives back always. And it's like this time that will never, you learn, you know, that was my first time in a cloud-based model. That was my first time in the revenue share model. You learn from your mistakes and things you wished you would have done differently. I will not let that happen again. I'm pouring in because I believe in the company, and I know that our stock will do amazing things when we go public. And again, that's like retirement, you know, that was almost $1 million, the things I could have done with that.
Yes.
And another opportunity now I have, like when you talk of opportunity, this is another opportunity. And you guys, we don't get those very often.
Not at all. Let me ask you, when was it that you joined that company?
That was in October of 2018.
So just think about this. That was 9 years after the company opened its doors.
Yes.
Could you imagine how much stock you would have had if you've been there on year one?
No.
That would have been literally millions of dollars.
Yep.
But let me just say this. Even at $88,000, Trisha, imagine if you would have been at Coldwell Banker or at Century 21 or ERA or all these other companies, which are great companies, but they just have a different setup.
It's old school.
Not even the $88,000 would you have, right? So that's the beautiful thing about the contrast. Yes, it could have been $1 million. It ended up being 88, but 88, it's still a million times better than zero.
And Victor, when I ended up, and then of course the stock never grew back to where it was, but when I switched us and went over and left EXP and went to Real, that 88 I had turned into 250. So again, had I been at Gary Green or any of these other old school models, I would have had zero.
Wow. So you still walked away with $250,000?
Yes.
It's incredible.
Yes. And that was money that I had been awarded just from being a leader in the company and high producing and doing the right thing. Always doing.
Yeah. And the thing is this, guys, for anybody that's listening and saying, hey, well, that's awesome, but I'm not a big producer. Remember, we were once newer. Remember, there was once a time where we're like, oh my God, where are we going to get our next deal? Because maybe I didn't close something this month. Well, guess what? It gets to the point where now, if you don't have more than 10 to 15 closings, you're like, oh my God, this is a rough month.
Yes. Isn't that crazy?
And we're here to pour into people and have a lot of different leaders that are going to pour into you to make sure that you take your business to the next level as well.
Victor, let's talk a little bit before we close out. Number one, y'all, our corporate office is in Chicago. That's Eddie's, and it's a 27,000 square foot amazing building. I've been there, and when you go there, you leave there wanting to do more and be more because he's built it all by his own finances, by his own labor. He is looking at every piece of tile in there, every window, every piece of hardware. He is obsessed with professionalism, which is amazing because that's what's taken him to where he is. That will we're having a grand opening in May with that. But Victor, here in Texas, what have we got coming up lately?
All right. So we just signed a lease in Austin. And that's another thing. One thing I've noticed is that since we have a lot of producing agents and teams, having offices is somewhat of a second nature.
Yes.
Even though we're cloud-based. So this is something that tends to be different. Now, I want to go ahead and just paint a quick picture about our office. Most offices, and I was in a very nice office. I don't want this to be like, oh, he's saying it was ugly. It was incredible. Grade A office, beautiful office building. Right?
Yep.
Professional, everything.
Oh yeah.
That, to me, it's kind of like staying at a Westin, right? Which is a great hotel.
Yeah.
It's definitely not an Econo Lodge or anything like that. So Westin is a very nice place to stay, right? But going into Eddie's office, actually, I'll correct myself because Eddie says this is y'all's office. This is everybody's office. That's with Realty of America. It's like walking into the Ritz-Carlton. The office is off the charts, incredible. It is impeccable on every little thing. And that's just a reflection of the kind of individual we have leading the way for our company.
For sure.
The little details add up to either take us here or put us here.
Yep.
And that translate on everything that he does. And it's just incredible. And I can't wait to go for the grand opening, which is another thing. No other cloud-based company has a headquarters, let alone a Ritz-Carlton of office type of environment. So I'm like super excited. I'm sure you're going to be there. We're going to have leaders from all over the country that are going to be there. And I can't wait to just see the unveiling of how incredible that place is going to look.
And we haven't gotten a date picked out or a location yet, but San Antonio, we've got an event up and coming in the next 60 days. You'll find us in San Antonio and El Paso, right, Victor?
Oh, yeah. So we're flying in on the 7th of April to El Paso. We're going to have multiple events out there, and it's going to be more like masterminds, teaching how we took business to the next level. I'm going to be sharing how I built my team to do over 100 million consistently year after year. And then we're going to have people, focus on social, focus on a variety of things that you guys can go ahead and implement into your business to take it to the next level.
I love it. You guys stay tuned, watch Realty of America, because I had a friend of mine reach out to me yesterday and she's like, Realty of America is on fire. And I was like, oh, it is. And we're just getting started.
Yes.
Because we are giving back and we're helping. And there's like such an opportunity here for so many people.
Oh yeah. And I'll say to that, Trisha, there's going to be individuals that we know, like, and trust that also like us and love us and everything that'll never come over. And guess what? They can cheer us on, from a distance, and that'll be fine. And then there's some that are going to jump in and get on this rocket ship, because this ain't a bus. This is a rocket ship going to places that's never been done before. And I'll tell you this, people say that a lot. This is a game changer. This is this, all these terminology, but I'm going to tell you this, look at the facts, and the numbers do not lie of what we've done. And it's just incredible to be part of it. And I hope you guys decide to look into it so you can see how this fits into your world so that you can go ahead and benefit as well.
Absolutely. I'm super excited. You guys stay tuned. Victor, thank you so much for being on here with me today. I love your enthusiasm and your energy. And I think we're just getting started and there's no ceiling to what we're going to accomplish.
Not at all. Thank you so much. I really appreciate all that you've done. You're an amazing leader, not just in the state, but also nationwide. So thank you for all you do, Trisha.
Thank you. Right back at you, Victor. You guys have an awesome day. Bye, y'all.
Bye-bye.